Hello. Hi, everyone. And welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Bob. I'm a co founder of Dandelion Branding, and I run a live marketing series every Thursday at 3 p.m. Central European Time, which is now. And that's 9 a.m. Eastern Time and 6 a.m. in California. If this isn't the best time and you think of a different time might be better, let me know because I'm open to changing it. If not, I'm just going to keep doing it here. Okay. So, for those of you who don't know, Dandelion is a sustainable marketing agency, and we make a ton of content around marketing and around sustainability. So, if that's your jam, like, subscribe, follow, etc., because the algorithm wants to know, and so do we, if you want more of this type of content. Awesome. That's all the stuff. Let's jump in. Today, we're going to talk about email marketing benchmarks, what we track, and what you're looking for when you talk about emails. I'm going to be really honest with you. I love emails and I can talk about them all day. These are supposed to be fast. So, you know, cut me off. If it goes too long, I'll cut myself off. It'll be fine. It's going to be fine. Also, so you know, I'm on both Instagram Live and YouTube Live at the same time. That's why my eyes go all over the place. Yeah. And for those of you on Instagram, it's why I have a microphone. It's not connected to Instagram. I think that's kind of funny. Anyway, so what should you look at and what are the benchmarks for email marketing? Now, every industry is a little bit different. Um, so I'm going to just kind of give you basic benchmarks to go off of. And if you have individual questions, uh, let me know and I can certainly, I'll cover those for you. So open rate. Open rate is the first thing you want to track. You want to look at it every day. Well, not every day, but with every email. Just so you know, we track all of our data. We track weekly. If you don't have a weekly email, just say in your weekly report, no email this week. But it is good to look at um, every time you have an email. The only thing I will say about email marketing is that you want to give it some leeway. Um, don't send an email Saturday and then look at the data on Sunday because a lot of people don't open their emails immediately. I don't know why they would ever not, but don't do that. I would say give it at least 2 or 3 days, depending on your industry. With some, like if you work with herbalists or if you work with farmers or like in the sourcing industry or some place that's like hands off the computer a lot, you might want to wait 5 or 6 days to really look at data. So that's something to consider. So, what is a good open rate? Typically, we say you want 25 to 30%. If you get 25 to 30% open rate on a regular basis, holy crow, you've made it. Very good job. That is not low. A lot of people come to us and we say, "What's your open rate?" And they say, "Oh, it's really low." And then it's 25% every time they send an email. And we're like, "Good work, man. Very nice job." So, why 25% to 30%? Like you're never do you read all of your emails? Do you read them all? I certainly don't. I read more than 30%, but I'm a fiend like that, you know? So you have to remember that your audience has a full whole life that isn't reading your email. So 25 to 30% is the target you're looking for. If your emails are regularly hitting 20 to 25%, that's still pretty dang good. Um, and I would suggest looking at your subject lines. One of the things we track is subject lines so that we can sort by we track everything in a spreadsheet, and we will sort by open rate, and we will look at what subject lines tend to do the best. Like, and then we'll skew our subject lines more in that direction. That's been really, really helpful for the brands we work with, and for our own emails. So, yeah, if your open rate is 20 to 25%, you're almost there, and it's probably a subject line situation. It could also be a consistency situation. If they don't hear from you all the time, like if you're sending twice a month or once a month and you're getting 20 to 25%, try to increase that a little bit because they might just be forgetting. Like they might just not know that they can trust you yet. You can like re- make your trust, you can increase your trust better, um, with by sending the right amount of emails to your audience. If your open rate is lower than 20% on a regular basis, you have there could be several things going on. A lot of times we see there's too many sends or almost no sends. It's kind of a weird balance there. You might be sending to the wrong audience also, or your subject lines just might suck. Um, but it's an indication that you're you lose some trust somewhere, in the algo. If your one other thing is if your open rates are regularly less than 10 or 15%, like if you're 15% or lower, there's a really good chance that you have a deliverability issue. I'm going to talk about deliverability in a minute, but if you're seeing really regularly, like my open rate's 10%. My open rate's 12%. If you're listening to this and being like, "Shit, I'm way behind." It might not be your content actually. It might actually be, um, we've seen we've seen it with the email service platforms that sometimes your like IP community kind of sucks. I guess I'm talking about deliverability now. Talk about it now really quickly because this is where you can really see a deliverability shift. If you're if you're using someone, I don't want to call them out, but I'm going to, like vertical response. Um, we have seen extremely low open rates and like pretty bad deliverability from email service providers like that are sort of off the cuff. Maybe they're a little cheaper. Um, that's not on you. That's on your that's on the email service provider that you're using is someone that you can trust. I'm going to throw it out here. Um, we use Klaviyo. I love Klaviyo. I used to say, "We love Klaviyo," and that's a non-spawn, but actually we're Klaviyo partners now, so it is a spawn, and I will drop our sponsorship when I, link when I redo the information here. So, yeah, make sure that you trust your email service provider so that they actually deliver your emails into people's inboxes and not into people's spam, or that, like, Google, Hotmail, and Yahoo don't just be like, "I don't know who this is," and not deliver it at all. That's a reality that we have to recognize. Also, you're never going to trick Google, you're not going to trick Hotmail into getting your emails in people's inboxes. They have like more than 300 things that they're looking at about your email. If you're ending up in spam, I'm going to tell you this, if you're ending up in spam, you're kind of sending spam. So if you end up in spam on a really regular basis for your audience, you're sending spam. I'm sorry. That's a harsh reality. It's the truth. It's just the truth. So, yeah, if you want to talk about if you want to talk about like how to get out of spam and how to stop sending it, let me know. I'm always super down for that. Mostly it's just be valuable, send valuable content. Okay, that's open rate and deliverability. Again, that goal is 25 to 30%. 20 to 25% is on point. If you have less than 15%, you might have a deliverability issue. Happy to chat with you about it. Okay, your click rate. What are you looking for when it comes to click rate? This is how many people this is the percentage of people that clicked the email that you sent. Typically, it is the number that you clicked divided by the number that you sent. But if you're using, there are some, I think, is it Salesforce? There are some ESPs that use the number of opens divided by the number of emails sent. So you want to look into that for your if your email service provider. Like, how do they calculate click rate? For this benchmark, it's the number clicked divided by the number sent. Uh, you want anything above 2%. Anything above a 2% click rate is fantastic. We usually see with the brands that we're working with right now, we're seeing very high click rates around 5+%, usually like 4+%, which is absolutely fantastic. If your click rate is somewhere between 1 and 2%, you're doing fine. You're doing fine. Um, but you could be doing a little better. So with that one, I typically say, especially if your open rate is high, but your click rate is a little lower, then look at check out your CTAs and look at like the templates that you're using for your emails. Like if your open rate is 20 to 30% and your click rate is below 2%, that's going to be that's a little strange. So you want to just see, okay, what am I saying? Why won't they click? Why aren't they clicking? Am I giving away too much information? How can I make this a little bit more interesting? That's typically an email content issue. If your click rate is below 1%, you might be speaking to the wrong audience. So, you might be presenting information in a way that they're not interested. You might be boring. But again, if your open rate is high and your click rate is under 1%, check out your template. Just look at how you're presenting information. If both your open rate and your click rate are low, you probably have an audience issue if you don't have a deliverability issue. If As it relates to revenue, we also track revenue per email. Um, if you're an e-commerce business, most of your emails should be making sales. Recently, especially if your open rate and click rate is high. If you're I recently we've been seeing like really regular click rates over 30%. If your click rates are more than 30%, you can expand your audience or weigh your emails down. We did both, and we're seeing good results with both ways. So there's not a wrong way to do that. With one business, the revenue was already high, so we expanded the segment that we're sending to. With another brand we were working with, their email revenue was lower than we want, so we actually added like a featured product with every email, and the revenue shot right up. So kind of consider that. If you're an e-com business, most of your emails should be making sales, even if you're not putting coupons in them. You do not need to put coupon codes in all of your emails. Okay. Gina's asking me, do the numbers change depending on if you're a product or service provider? Yeah, they do. So if you're but I would say the ones that change the most would be your revenue, because if you're a service provider, it's usually pretty hard to um, sell a direct product in an email because you provide a service. If As it relates to open rate, those are pretty standard benchmarks. So you still want 25 to 30% open rate. Um, as it relates to click rates are a little lower, I've noticed, for service providers. Typically, and I think it's because service providers often have like very specific content or very specific information that they're sharing in their emails. So people aren't like clicking to see the next big thing. But so if you're a service provider, I think, still shooting for that 2% click rate is good, but it's not surprising or bad if it's between that 1 to 2% rate. Thanks for that question. That's a good question. Um, the unsubscribe rate. Here's a tip, guys. Don't sweat your unsubscribe rate. Unless your unsubs hit more than 1% on a consistent basis, just don't worry about it. Your brand is never going to appeal to everyone, and it absolutely should not. So some people are going to unsubscribe. If you're seeing an unsubscribe hit over 1% on a consistent basis, you should look at a couple of things. One is your lead generation. If if your lead generation is bringing in, we had this issue actually pretty recently. Our lead generation wasn't bringing in the right audience, so our unsubs were looking a little high, and we were like, "That's kind of weird." But if you don't have the right audience, they should absolutely be unsubscribing because you pay for them. You pay for the people that are on your email list. That's how email service providers make their money. So if you're if someone shouldn't be in your audience, you shouldn't want them on your email list, right? Um, the other thing to look into if you're seeing a high unsubscribe rate is your customer support complaints because they will tell you if you have especially if you have a big list, they will straight up just tell you, you are annoying, you are sending too many emails, you're doing this, and this, and I don't like it. If you're building a brand, especially, don't show imagery. Then, like, if 40% of email clients don't automatically show imagery, like you have to click that button where it says, I think it says something like always show images from this person, then you need to make sure that you have alt text because alt text will always be seen. It should explain uh, the image, and it should have a little keyword. It's not an SEO thing, but it should have just a keyword so people know what you're talking about. Um, the other thing is that if your audience is only seeing alt text and they're not seeing imagery in your emails, it might not be counted as open for your open rate. So that's something to consider is writing non-HTML emails every so often so that you can get a really good sense of the amount of people that actually open your emails. For a service provider in particular, um, non-HTML emails seem to work better because you can be more personal there. Uh, and that's pretty much it. On your spreadsheet where you're watching, I'm gonna just say this every time I talk about data. Uh, Make sure that you have a space for notes about your email, so that when you're doing your data and you're looking at your spreadsheet and you can watch trends and you can take notes. Yeah. If there aren't any, I think that I might not be online, but that's okay. All right. Have a beautiful day. That's what I have. Please let me know if you have any email marketing questions. I'm always here. You can get me on email. I'm one of those people that reads them all and answers in 20 minutes. Hello. All right. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.